And in our last few minutes together, my job is to pull all this together and give you a call to action, a sense of reminding us of our commitment as we leave with the wonderful conversation we've had, the new relationships that we have created, the cross-cultural and international moment. Let me share with you just three thoughts. First is, it seems to me that we will be driven continually by vision, that there has to be a sense on the part of some people in this community that we look beyond whatever is to what can be. And that's going to be the call that I think is so significant. Not everyone will embrace it. Not everyone will find it. Not everyone will be able to do it. But there will be a group of people who can look beyond and as they look beyond, see something that is very, very different. I'm not going to tell the long version, but I love to tell the story from the great musical The Man of La Mancha. You know that story of Don Quixote and the crazy guy living somewhere in Spain in probably the 1300s. And here Don Quixote just sees things people don't see. There's this wonderful scene where he goes into what would be today a bar or a tavern, and he meets her. Her name is Aldonza, and you get the picture pretty quickly that by day she's a waitress, but by night she's a prostitute. And here you have this amazing interaction between the Man of La Mancha, Don Quixote, who has this sense of vision, not just in some kind of global way, but he has a sense of vision as he relates and interacts with people. He can see in them sometimes things they can't see in themselves. And so we have this kind of crazy, outlandish moment where he decides to give her a new name. And he says, "You are no longer Aldonza, you are now Dulcinea, and you are my lady." Well, she's not used to being referred to as a lady, and she gets a little offended that here this stranger comes in and decides to rename her. And there's a moment where she yells in a sense of anger and says, "Don't you understand what I am? I'm nothing but a kitchen slut." And he says, "No, you are Dulcinea, and you are my lady." And we don't see the significance of that till we get all the way to the end of the performance. And there the curtains open for the last time, and the Man of La Mancha is now very, very ill, close to death, laying there on a bed. And in from the side, as the lights come up, you see this beautiful woman dressed in a gown, greatly sophisticated. She walks in, and he hears that someone's coming. He opens his feverish eyes and says in his weak voice, "Who is it?" And she says, "It is I, Dulcinea, and I am your lady." I think that as we leave, we have to leave with a sense of vision, a sense that we are looking beyond a community that is. It's a wonderful community, but we have to have vision for it being even better. Second thing that I think is really significant is that as we leave here, we also have to leave with the acknowledgement that opening doors is not easy. Opening doors in spite of our vision is not easy. We can put up the signs around us and we can gather and talk about it, but the reality is day in and day out, it is not easy. I remember growing up as a little boy in the Christian faith and singing a song that made it so simple. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in His sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. And at 5 or 6 or 8 or 10, sounded pretty simple. Now, as the president even of a Christian university that I believe has the highest minority population of any university in the state of Tennessee except our historically black colleges. And I find that it's pretty easy to figure out ways to put resources together and attract largely Hispanic and Asian and African American students. It is a whole different game to get them through and graduated. And they bring all of the challenges of culture and all the challenges of background, and they come into a community that, while very gracious and hospitable, still is very different than anything they've known, and they're challenged academically. And getting through is really, really difficult. After the moment we had with English only, I realized that security at my house needed to be different. There are some wackos out there. And some of them found me, so security, or I'll be happy to give you the gate combination, but some of them don't need it. It's not always easy. And some of you on a personal basis have walked a walk and have been a part of a journey far more profound than mine in difficulty. And so we recognize that even with vision, there's a sense of challenge. One of the things I've learned the last 10 years that I think is fascinating is how the brain works. And there's some wonderful neuroscience that has now told us that we have an understanding of how the brain works, not psychologically, but physiologically. And apparently the brain works on 3 levels, and the core level is a sense of safety, and the next level is a sense of emotion, and the last level is a sense of analysis, the highest level of our activity. Well, think about that for a moment, because in this area we confront people who may not be intentionally doing something, but their brain's not letting them do what even they might like to do. See, safety becomes something that is the core activity. And if someone, because of a lack of experience, or someone because of a lack of cross-cultural engagement, or someone because of the lack of knowledge, if they feel frightened, we can't expect they will operate analytically. Oh, we can yell at them and tell them they should feel this way, or they should think this way, but their brain's not letting them do that. I'm in Southern California driving on the freeway. I have my wife and 2 kids with me in the car. We're in the fast lane going about 75 miles an hour, and there's a strange place on the 405 freeway where another freeway comes in, not to the slow lane, but to the fast lane. And they painted this big white line that goes all the way down, which says, don't cross it. You know, you folks that are coming in, stay in that lane for a while, because there are a lot of people over here, 5 lanes of them, that aren't ready for you. Just stay where you are for a couple of miles. And here I am one day driving 75 miles an hour, and there's a car coming in, and I just had a sense that that person wasn't going to pay any attention to that white line. I have no idea what happened next. All I know is that I skidded across 3 lanes of traffic. There was a bunch of smoke and a bunch of all kinds of stuff, and when it was all over, somehow miraculously we had not been in an accident. I'm 3 lanes over now, going about 50 miles an hour. What part of me handled that? Oh, it was the part of my brain that says, you're about to die. And I'm going to take this over because you otherwise can't handle it. You have no time to think emotionally about it. You have no time to analyze it. We're going to do something and go on a journey here you didn't expect. And it was over 3 lanes. And then I'm driving down the road, and my 2 daughters in the back seat start yelling at me. And I never will forget what they said. They said, Dad, what are you trying to do? Kill us? I said, no, I just saved your life. My tremendously instinctive reaction here saved your life. But where are they? Oh, now that they're safe, their emotions are flowing out all over the car. And then about 5 miles down the road, I'm thinking to myself, what a jerk. I mean, didn't that guy know the velocity of his vehicle is 65 miles an hour? Hitting mine at 75 would create all kinds of problems. Doesn't he understand the laws in the state of California, what white lines mean? Well, sure, we can be analytical then. And so I think we have to recognize this is really, really tough stuff. And that people who are frightened, people who don't feel secure, people who are threatened, are going to have a really hard time joining us in the intellectual sense of how this should all come down. And I think that says something about perhaps the levels in which we work. The Davidson Group probably is a great opportunity for people in a very safe environment over and over again to meet with someone else and realize that it is safe. And then from that begin to process all of the emotions and analysis. The last thing I would say is that at the end of the day, we will be judged not only by our success, but I think also by our faithfulness. The reality is, in our lifetimes, we won't cure it all, we won't solve it all. In our lifetimes, we won't put everything together the right way. And I think you have to leave some days saying, you know, I'm called to be successful, I work really hard at that, but at the end of the day, I also have to look back and say, regardless of the success, I was faithful to what I was called to do. I was in an airport in Phoenix, Arizona, and I was walking through a gift shop because I had all the time in the world, and I found this collection of little drawings and little sayings, and I didn't want to buy one because they were framed, and I didn't know how to get that on the airport plane with all my stuff. And I also felt that, you know, I ought to be a little bit credible in how I did this, so I didn't take my iPhone and just take pictures of them. But I would walk up to them and read a little bit, and I'd walk away and write it down. So my conscience is feeling somewhat better than it might feel. But one of the phrases from an artist I thought was fascinating. He said this in the little picture drawing. He said, "Anyone can slay a dragon," he told me, "but try waking every morning and loving the world all over again. That's what takes a hero." And I think he's saying, you know, a lot of folks can do big stuff, and we'll try to do big stuff, but there is something about waking up every single day and being faithful to a calling, and that there are heroes all around us that do that. Try waking up every day and loving the world all over again. That's what takes a real hero. Well, I want to close with something that, again, impressed me last night. We had the opportunity to go to the Mercy Lounge, which I'd never been to, a great place for the Lipscomb president. And at the Mercy Lounge last night was an amazing thing. I think it's happening again tonight because it was so successful. A group of very, very talented Nashvillians about 6 months ago decided they would get together, and when they were all through with their musical stuff for the fall, all the tours, they would get together and do the music from Les Mis. Now that's an amazingly difficult score, but they put together a little orchestra, and they got about 25 singers, and they were just having a wonderful time singing through that musical that is certainly my favorite, and I hope that many, many of you have seen it. Comes from the story of Victor Hugo, who found Jean Valjean as the wonderful lead character. He's released from prison after serving years and years, and all of a sudden you follow his life. And he adopts a small child, and he engages around the French Revolution, and you have all the drama of love and loss. You have all the sense of grace and law, all of the tension in this. But it really comes down to a question. And the entire play comes down to a question as to whether or not the people in this circle are going to be committed, whether or not the people hear the song that calls them to action. And so I thought, in a rather unconventional way, what we might do is let me share those words with you, and then I want to close this morning by you having the opportunity to listen to the words, sung by the cast that was brought back 25 years after the opening of Les Mis. They brought them back together to sing what will be a couple of minutes of that very last song. But see if these words don't resonate as we think about the challenges before us, different than the challenges before them, but nevertheless perhaps very relevant. Do you hear the people singing a song of angry men? It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there is life about to start when tomorrow comes. Will you join in our crusade? Will you be strong and stand with me? Beyond the barricade, is there a world you long to see? Then join in the fight that will give you the right to be free. Do you hear the people singing a song of angry men? It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums. There's a life about to start when tomorrow comes. And so, as we conclude today, let's listen to the words of that musical asking that question.
Will you join